couple things. It's fun though.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Thanks
Ready for the basketball event. I love watching that.
Yeah, I'm excited about it this year.
Yep.
Got some special things planned that'll be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah?
Taper's running, we're ready to go?
Yep.
Okay, I will call this meeting of Center County Commission to order for Thursday, March 14th. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Join me in a short prayer here. Heavenly Father, we ask that you give us the wisdom to make the decisions that are in the best interest of those that we are here to serve. We ask in a special way that you protect those folks who are protecting our freedoms and their families. We ask all this through your Son. Amen. Roll call.
Commissioner Thomas? Commissioner Kirschner?
Here.
Commissioner Stacy?
Here.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve the digital audio video recording of the previous board session.
So moved.
And second, and roll call.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Any adjustments to the agenda?
I think we need to, Shane had sent an email that the Solid Waste District had asked us to talk about one of us serving on their exec committee, so
Who?
the Solid Waste District.
Solid
OSS.
Waste District. Okay. I nominate Nutter.
Well, since I'll be there anyway.
Okay. All right. I kind of get an update on, we'll talk a little bit, I talked this morning about if there's anything new on the parking, potential parking lot across the street here behind East Tower. Maybe somebody knows something I don't know. Okay, so we're going right to County Administrator's report. What do you have to tell us?
Just a couple things. I wanted to bring up, we had so much going on last week. I know I mentioned the auction at 108, but we had a lot going on, so I thought we'll bring it up again today. 108 Jefferson Street, we've scheduled it to be auctioned off May 14th at 10:30. We will be doing it at the building, hopefully no rain and be nice and warm weather in May. We did set a no reserve auction, so if we only get a bid for $1, we get a bid for $1. But we wanted to get as many people to come and look at the building and participate as we could.
I got 20.
Sold!
Be careful what you hope for, buddy.
That could be the most expensive
Yeah.
$20 I've ever.
Fair enough.
I got 7, so we got 27.
Sit down.
Let's do this thing.
We got this.
So we do have a reserve posted by David Zach of $20.
Bill Jones from Remax will be doing it. I can give you his office number for anybody that's interested in going through the building. You can either call our office or you can call Bill at Remax. It's 419-443-SOLD 7653. So looking forward to that event. Hopefully we get some interested. We've already taken a few people through the building, so that's always encouraging. I guess a little bit of history on the building, which Jimmy did some research for us. The building was built in 1912, operated as a library from 1913 to 1976, where then it was given to the county. It was funded by a grant from the Carnegie Corporation of New York, and the grant was approximately $25,000. So. Yes.
Cost $25,000 to build a library in 1912?
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
So, just wanted to make sure we mention that again. Any press is good press. We want to get as many people there as possible. So,
We've had some interest from the media, thanks to Jimmy's promotion of things listed. They picked up on that, made contact with him. We did one TV interview yesterday. Another one pending today, so that's some good publicity for us. And I'm sure David with his reserve dollar out there wants to promote it on his, outlet some way. That'd be great. Maybe not. Maybe he wants to keep his bid.
Yeah.
Don't want to
He
encourage
wants to keep it
competition.
secret. The other things I had, a couple quick questions. I think I emailed them to you. We finally got the quote and are ready to tear the sidewalk out that we had discussed for a while at the Justice Center to the old vestibule. Klaus is actually in the area doing some other concrete work, so not that we're getting a better deal, but they just have the equipment in the area, so it's $3,715 to get that taken out. We kind of knew this was coming, so I just wanted to make sure you knew, make sure that was okay.
It's part, now, John was going to get a landscaping plan put together.
Yes, yep,
And
he's
is that-
working on
Is
that.
that all part of that plan then, once that concrete's out of there?
Yeah, that was the request, the initial request.
Okay, good.
The sidewalk in the, behind it will stay, but that will no longer be an entrance, and I think
Right,
they
right.
thought it was just security, just so nobody knows, or nobody thinks they can go in and out of the vestibule anymore, so we're gonna take that out, and then we'll put the bike rack up. One that it looks like a bike. So I'll go ahead and move forward with that one, we have money in place for that one. Also, I have a quote from Torrance. We didn't have them do cards or anything on the data center door when we had them do the rest, because we were still doing some research on, like a fingerprint reader or something that was a little bit more,
Sophisticated.
yeah. Got a quote on that, and the fingerprint reader is almost 7,000. So I said, well, go ahead and give me the cost of what the regular cards would be again.
Like a fob or something?
Yep, yep,
Okay.
so the fobs, it'll be about $2,400 to put the fobs on that door. And, that way, I mean, cause the keys, they're special keys, so we'd have to, the cost of the keys, so I think the fob, like on all the other doors,
Yeah.
that way, security, there's a camera up there, so people see it goes in and out, but the card reader we need to put on there, so I got money in place for that too, so just wanted to let you know that what we were going forward with.
Okay.
I think that's it. HR assessment, we did get that scheduled, with, Julie, School of Op, and invited, Job and Family Services and all the people that participated in that assessment, so that's gonna be March 25th at 10:30. And then we do have our Corsa renewal in Columbus on March 22nd. I might, take Kylie down with me just to see, it's just a renewal meeting from 9 to noon, so.
So the HR meeting is November 25th, or March 25th.
Yeah.
What time?
10:30, out to the Job and Family Services conference room.
Okay. All
That's
right,
it.
thank you.
Yes.
Commissioner, what do you have?
Other than the solid waste thing, to make sure we brought that up, I do not have anything.
Okay, I'll just,
Oh,
yeah,
yes,
go
I
ahead.
do, this, the award. We wanted to display that, and again, thanks to David and Company, TSEP, for honoring the collaborative effort of the Justice Center, presented with the President's Award. So that was presented to the commissioners, the city, and the judges, and each entity has a piece of this beautiful hardware, Lady Justice on it. To display, but again, recognizing the project effort for the collaboration and that whole connected community and partnership and everything that it represented, and we certainly are honored to doing our jobs and doing what was right, but appreciate the recognition of that.
Good. Well, just an update on the Park District, they had their meeting last night to recognize that. I know the major award, there were a couple other awards, and I don't recall those, but the major award was given to Roy Zinn, I think as Volunteer of the Year. They had a nice group of folks out there, nice dinner. So that happened last night. I don't really have anything more.
Okay.
So I guess we'll go on to old business, or any other old business that we would have.
You want to do the solid waste district thing now?
Sure.
So with your exec committee, and I don't think that it must be outlined in any policy or bylaws, and I know I was at the meeting, I don't remember who else was all there, but when they elected officers, and it just kind of happened, Commissioner Ryder from Sandusky County said she'd chair, and then two others popped up for vice and secretary, and they both were Ottawa County. And so they realized now that they've got some staff changes going on, that they really need that exec committee to at least have a commissioner from each county, so they were asking if one of us would step in to take the seat as secretary.
Would you like to do that?
It does not matter to me one way or the other. It doesn't matter. It is gonna be a year where they're gonna have transitions with the recently announced upcoming retirement of the director, Tim Wasserman, which will occur end of summer.
That is public information.
That is public information. It was,
All right.
yeah, it was sent to Commissioner Ryder, and she sent it to all of us, and he
Yeah.
has said it. And then they have another staff change that was announced prior to that, of someone that was moving on to a different position, so.
Well, this could come back and bite us, but we could appoint Shane since he's not here.
We could. And as president of the board, I mean, I so second.
Oldest trick in the
You're
book.
welcome, Shane. Thanks. President
Okay, that's easy.
Love it.
Yeah, done. Thanks.
I have a feeling that's gonna come back and bite somebody.
Yeah, well,
Okay, so new business. Engineer Township meeting is next Thursday night. That's the annual, or not the annual, they do it quarterly, but the annual engineers meeting.
Yeah.
Bring us up to date on what's going on there. I don't know what more you can say than you said yesterday, but.
No, and what Commissioner Kirchner's referring to is he talked about the pending fuel tax.
Gas tax.
In gas tax increase and the situation of financial with ODOT, et cetera. And I'm not gonna attempt to reiterate anything he said, and as he stated, I'm not being an advocate, I'm just sharing the information as he knows it, the factual fact of the finances with ODOT, as well as where the gas tax, what was proposed and where it's at now, and it's still in the Senate and so forth. But,
Yeah,
yeah, and I'm sure he'll talk about that at that quarterly township meeting as well.
so the engineers meeting is March 21st with all the township trustees.
We just
Okay,
need
I
to
guess
know
we
if you guys
can,
are going.
pardon me?
Are you guys going?
Yes,
Yeah, I mean, yes.
yes, we will be there. Okay, so we're on to budget adjustments and appropriations, I guess.
Sure. All right, I have a request from the auditor's office. She needed to have her salary increased with the Senate Bill 296. She didn't put that in her budget because it just came right at the end of the year. I think that we had already done our budgets actually. So she needs a supplemental for $3,284.91. Also, additional for the deputy sealer. She has a separate payroll line for that, so that was missed in the 3% increases. So she's asking for $406.91 and $516.86 for PRS salaries, and then Medicare is the $53.50. And her additional request is for laptops in her equipment line. She's requesting $3,000. So that is all the financials I have.
Okay, that's all out of general fund.
Yes.
All right.
And I have a resolution approving the Seneca County Sewer District Payment Adjustment Policy retroactive to January 1st, did you want 19 or 18?
For 18.
Yeah, because we did this policy in 18, we had just forgot to do the resolution. We had created the policy and it had been in effect, but it was on our audit last year and they were asking us about it, and that's when we realized we hadn't done the resolution yet.
Yeah.
I have a resolution establishing the Medicaid Reserve Fund. This at the request of the School of Op. Just creating the fund, fund number 6075. I have a resolution setting time, date, and place to receive sealed bids for the Seneca County Township Road 77 and 169 superstructure replacement pre-stressed box beams. That will be at our office on Thursday, April 11th at 10:30 a.m. I have a resolution authorizing the amending complaint and joining parties for case number 117 MD 2804. This is the opiate litigation that we entered into beginning of last year. So they needed an amendment on that. Derek has looked at it also, so I have a resolution approving the recommendations of the Tax Incentive Review Council's findings regarding enterprise zone and community reinvestment area tax abatements for companies located in Seneca County. And the one continued abatement is the VH1 Properties LLC. I have a resolution setting time, date, and place to receive sealed bids for the Cemetery Lane project located at 3160 South State Route 100. That's our cemetery south of town. We set the bids for April 11th at 10:45 at our office. And then I have a resolution accepting the bids and entering into contract with Klaus Construction for the School of Opportunity Improvements pending prosecutor's approval. And they've come up in case that you had any questions or maybe wanted to explain anything. If not, we were okay with that, and we're gonna have Derek's got it to review it. And that's all I have.
Okay, what's your pleasure?
I will move to accept all the resolutions as presented.
I will second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner Kirchner?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Okay, we do have Lou, would you have something you'd like to say?
Just thank you.
You're welcome.
Two things. One, thank you for the approval of the bid. The other is just the Medicaid Reserve Fund, just so you guys know what that is the state is asking us to set up that fund. And working with the auditor, with your approval, we set up that fund, and then they're going to populate that fund to hopefully, if it is approved in the budget, a direct care support raise that through the Medicaid waiver program for the direct support professionals that are working in people's homes. So the state will give us the money, we pay the state back the money, and it's money that they have had allocated that they haven't spent. So it won't cost us anything, at least for 4 years. And they won't plan any further than that, so we'll talk about that when that day comes. But the intent of the fund is to set up a fund to help pay for direct support professionals' rate increases.
Okay, is Paul?
Yep, I think he just came in.
Paul, we are early, so if you would like to make your presentation, you're welcome to do that at this point.
Wonderful. Appreciate it. I don't know where I stand or sit or.
Well, probably right up here, they'll record you in case you say something, we want to go back and check.
What if I talk really slowly and softly?
Yeah.
Well, good morning. My name is Paul Milonis. I'm with Johnson Controls. The reason I'm here today is to talk about a concept that Johnson Controls has been very successful in with assisting local governments, to include counties, in upgrading their infrastructure without the burden of going to capital expenditure to do so. So we have been very successful in the state of Ohio in working with local governments, to include counties, schools, local cities, to present a solution that utilizes energy savings, captured energy savings, to pay for upgrades within the facility. So typically a county would have to go out, they would have to look at capital expenditure to do upgrades to county-owned buildings. What Johnson Controls does very successfully is they go in, they look at county-owned buildings, and then they look at the means of payment for those upgrades to be the reduction in energy savings. So that becomes the payment vehicle to pay for upgrades within any of the county-owned buildings, as opposed to the traditional way, and that's looking at capital expenditure, raising bond money through capital funds to upgrade county-owned buildings. Any questions with that so far? We've been very successful. We work with Licking County, we work with Lorain County, we work with Cuyahoga County, all of them multiple phases with Johnson Controls in this approach of looking at all the county-owned buildings, putting together an assessment within those buildings that says, what is the need to get these buildings up and running the way that the county needs to provide services to the citizens. And then we look at a way to upgrade basically HVAC, lighting, security, access. And we do that by reducing energy within those buildings and then taking that energy savings and applying it to the road.
You know, with the master plan we're in the process of doing, I'm guessing this would not be step one, it would be more like one of the following steps down the road, but I guess I do have to ask, we were in the process, in the middle of a contract doing this, my first few years here with Palmer Energy through CCAO, right?
Mhm.
And we completed that, and I don't remember now if that was all buildings, only a few
They
more
just,
buildings?
they had done the controls. We didn't use the traditional term, or the new House bill.
Yes,
To go through it back then, we did the regular steps, when Palmer came in and presented it, we just presented it as, the same type of program, but not going through the House bill. So
And
we
I-
actually put it out for bid and.
there's the big difference
Okay.
is, the big difference is the way that Palmer would execute it and the way that Johnson Controls would execute it is, A, I don't know if Palmer actually offered that back-end guarantee. And what I mean by guarantee, it says, if in a building you're spending, and I will throw out just an example, you're spending $100,000 a year in energy savings prior to our company coming in. Through our studies, we upgrade the necessary equipment to reduce the energy to bring it down to $75,000 a year. We guarantee year after year that $25,000 a year in savings. If we don't achieve the $25,000 a year in savings, we cut the county back a check for the difference. So if after construction, it's no longer a $25,000 savings, it looks like a $20,000 savings. There's a $5,000 shortfall, we pay the county back that $5,000. The other piece is, my belief is the way that Palmer executed that was, they basically put together the plan, handed it to the city, or the county, and then the county went out and they bid that work out. So all the subs remained under the county's supervision and responsibility. The big difference with the way Johnson Controls does it is, we hold all the subcontracts. So if there's an issue with the way that that system was built, you come back to Johnson Controls and Johnson Controls fixes it. It really, what we look to do is reduce as much risk as possible for any local county, any local government during the construction period. So we hold all the contracts. If there's a problem, it goes to Johnson Controls. It is not your sub, it's our sub. Ultimately, we are responsible, and this is a contractual guarantee of this energy savings and the performance of those systems. Counties have been very successful in looking at their long-term planning for buildings within the county and say, okay, let's either fund it through energy savings, or if we've got capital dollars allocated to that project now, let's remove those dollars and apply them somewhere else within the county, and then use these energy savings to now fund, which was what at one time a capital expenditure. So if I look at Licking County, not far from here, they've gone through 3 separate phases of work for us. So we did one, they did it in a way that was so successful, they did a second one, and then they did a third one. The other difference between Johnson Controls and the majority of firms out there is we do all of our preliminary work at risk, which it translates to no cost to the county. So what we do is we sit down with the county, we look at your master plan, we look at your energy consumption, we physically go walk the buildings, and then we come back to the county and say, here's the potential energy savings that we see in these buildings. If it's 60,000, we'll call it 100,000 for easy math. We project $100,000 a year in energy savings in the buildings that we see. Based on, typically a county will take it out for 15 or a 20-year loan. So if you take out $100,000 over a 15-year period, that's $1.5 million worth of work that we can execute. And we can do it in a way that does not burden capital dollars, nor does it burden your statutory lending capability. So when you borrow for this type of loan, it does not hit against the county's statutory lending limits. All that stays intact. And what we're really doing, we are leveraging state legislation that allows local governments to do this. This is all governed by statute by the state of Ohio.
Okay, so as Commissioner Stacy alluded to, we have a company called Gossman contracted to do a study of all the buildings to
Yes.
decide whether their life is over or we need to renovate them or we need to build new buildings or what.
Yes.
Do you interface with those kind of studies? And work with those folks to come up with some solutions?
Really, it would almost be independent of that because we don't look to build new buildings. Our goal is to retrofit old buildings. So if you've got an inventory of buildings and some of those buildings need mechanical upgrades, they need lighting upgrades, they need roofing, they need security, they need access, we would come in, we would evaluate the buildings there. We'll take this building, for instance. If we ran through this building, we would look at the entire facade, we look at the entire building envelope, we would look at the lighting, we would look at the mechanicals, and we would calculate the amount of energy savings that we can produce by putting in new equipment.
Okay, I mean, I get that, I just didn't know whether or not, because I mean, the first phase for us would be to determine whether or not we really, what our building needs are as far
Yes.
as physical structure.
Yes,
So it wouldn't make any sense for you to go to our old TB hospital, for example, and do an energy savings.
correct.
If Gossman came back and said that building is beyond its useful life, it needs to come down.
Unless there are already predefined buildings that the county knows it's going to keep. So if within that inventory, you're saying, regardless of what that study says, the county is not going to replace that. Now,
Probably the courthouse would be one.
there it is, right. We're working with Wyandotte County right now on their courthouse and their
Right.
jail.
Yeah.
So they know that it's not coming down. It's 110 years old. It's a fixture. So how do we renovate this? So we're putting together solutions for them now that says they don't have the capital. Let's do it through energy savings. So where we would really be able to come in, if there's a defined set of buildings within your inventory that you know are gotta keeps, then we can go through that building, do an evaluation, look at the systems that you've either identified or yet to be identified as needing upgrades. And then we would come back to you and say, here's what our study finds. It says you're going to need new HVAC, you've got T12 lighting that you can improve to LED, you've got building envelope issues that's allowing cold air out and warm air out to the outside. And we can take care of all those upgrades. We can put a new roof on it as well. So I guess my thought would possibly be to look at those buildings that you know you're going to keep. And possibly, if there is a forecast to do upgrades to that, does it make sense for Johnson Controls to come in and then see if energy savings can fund the upgrades? Because it's really budget neutral. We're not asking you to spend any more money or any less money than you're spending today. Is all we're asking you to do is transfer a part of your utility bill that we lower, that becomes the debt payment for the project.
Okay.
Good information to know. Like I said, I think it'll be, we get a little further into the master planning before we're gonna probably know.
Right.
On top of the fact we've either weather issues or incidents, or just in general, good maintenance. We've done a lot of roofs recently, but I'm sure there could come into play, so.
So does it make sense to have us to identify buildings and go through them now?
Well, it may, I don't know, I mean, we're not all three here, so
Okay.
I want to have that discussion with
Perfect.
Commissioner Thomas as well, but, we are obviously focused, this is kind of the year of the building, if you will.
Yes,
And so we are focused on that, I mean, your timing is good,
it's perfect.
because our strategic plan is multi-phased. One of the phases are buildings, and this is the year we're trying to concentrate on those, so.
Okay.
yeah, we'll have the discussion.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Okay.
Okay, yes.
We skipped over the parking lot, you were asking some, you wanted.
Yeah, I
that
just
parking
want,
lot.
I just wanted to know whether or not, last time we discussed it, we talked about a $50,000 number, and I think that we're gonna try to get the engineer involved, our engineer.
Yeah,
And I
I think we
haven't
were
heard-
still waiting, were they still waiting on something from the school?
I think the
don't
school, I mean, I think
don't
this,
remember.
I think the diocese is probably said it's okay, but they're waiting, our deal was that we were gonna upgrade their parking lot too, right?
Right,
And I
yeah.
think they're waiting to see what kind of upgrades we're talking about.
Okay.
And I haven't heard anything in probably 3 or 4 months, I wondered if,
I mean,
I'll have to
Okay.
contact Mark and see if, I know he was gonna meet with Matt from the city engineer's office and, get an update.
I think my last comment.
the
yes.
parking lot between Calvert and the East
We're
Tower.
working
Yeah,
on it, we're helping to
everything-
facilitate that,
everything,
so right now it's design, so the current status is what Matt did, we'll put together. So we're trying to get a design that will be satisfactory to the surrounding property owner. That hasn't, it's underway, getting a design to figure out what the cost would be, and then figure out what the county would or would not be willing to put towards it, and
Yeah.
then figure out what our gap is and how we may fill that gap. So
Yeah,
that's-
I think that there had been some discussion about going to some foundations that are for beautification and.
Yeah, so here's the bare minimum to get parking, and then anything, or whatever, so
Yeah.
we're trying to get what a number would be that would be beautification
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. So that is underway, I've had emails from,
Well, I've heard
The
numbers
last
from
couple months.
I've heard numbers from 50,000 to 350,000, so someplace in there's a choking point. So.
A couple places, maybe.
That's right, several places.
design is being worked on, so
Yeah,
that's,
all
that
right,
would be.
so
what
that's
I'd say.
still ongoing.
Still ongoing,
process.
it's not dead. Nope.
Is
All right.
Mark, working with you guys on that?
No, because we're trying to come up with a design. So Matt provided kind of, what do you call it, kind of ordinance stuff.
Yeah,
Anything that would get designed would get run by Mark, but
Yeah.
Mark's skill set is not figuring out the beautification of a
No,
parking lot.
no.
But
Yeah.
everything would get run by Mark before
sure.
it would be
I had
considered.
said, I wanna make sure the market gets in early
Yeah,
on it,
absolutely.
because obviously, if it's an issue for the county, then we wanna know that it's.
Abs-
done
I want
as-
Mark
as
happy.
approved. All
I
right.
want everybody happy. Mark ain't happy, nobody's happy.
Exactly right.
Okay. All right, anything else, Commissioner? All right, it's time for public comment at this point. Did you just come to be a pretty face, Mr. Dutter, or you
I
actually
did.
have something to say?
How am I doing?
Yeah, just like me, a face for radio, brother.
Exactly.
Anything else? Anyone have anything? Hearing nothing, we are adjourned.